All right, this is a real question. Will you do our intros so that I can put up Aussie?
All right, so in the bottom right, we have our red Protoss, the returning king,
The
or the
original.
former king. Right, the original, from the very first Battle of the Beehive and the very end of the second Beehive. We have Azzy the Hockey. And then in the 6 o'clock position, we have the currently reigning, defending, undisputed Beehive King, the Queen, is Crazy Mage.
I like it. Yeah. Have you ever seen the Eric Andre show? There's a. I'm just gonna answer as if you hadn't. There's a soundbite where they always add it to every episode, and the one dude's like, "Yeah." So that's how I feel. Okay.
So this game, I think, I'm super intrigued to see because what we've seen out of the Protosses is that they've gone Nexus first and opted for drop play, which sort of your standard run-of-the-mill Korean style, I suppose. Azzy, I think, safe to say, he goes for the more what you would say traditional builds, where you opt for more uh, massing gateway units and sort of winning on mechanics. So. I think we're going to see a little bit more of engagements either in the middle of the map or at the choke versus the last couple of games or the last couple of Protoss games that we've seen Mage play. We're seeing a pretty fast gas. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for a Dragoon opening here after a couple of Zealots, but uh, to potentially, bust down the choke.
Two
And
ships
I'm
crossing in the
curious to
night.
see how Mage will respond to that with what we've seen so far. We know he's good at defending the drops,
Mm-hmm.
but can we see his micro at Marines and potentially his dealing with the pressure?
So I was gonna say that zealot like might have thought that the marine was coming from 7 o'clock, and I was listening, so I'll build off what you're saying in a second. But he went straight down. So Ozzy still, I think he's just not taking any chances. Went and checked 9 o'clock, and then found him at 6. But just is the third time that Mage has had to play as Terran at 6 o'clock, and it is precarious against any Protoss, but especially Ozzy, because as you were saying, he likes to just go for units, not necessarily that. It's funny. It's probably historically not traditional, but it is traditional now to go for that nexus into. Oh my gosh, it's happening. Oh, that was a good snipe of the
One
probe.
right. One thing we've seen so far is when the Protoss was adjacent to the Terran player, they opted for the drop play as it is way much is closer distances. Um, But then another thing here is that the zealots have much less travel time. So
Yeah,
um, I think right now definitely Terran is playing at a severe disadvantage. Um, Not a severe disadvantage, but a disadvantage. And um, if he does decide to offer the drop play as then I think we could see some pretty decent success. Uh,
well,
so far, gearing up to the Dragoon tech, which I think is a great idea, as he'll eventually be able to force the issue and threaten the choke.
right. And hell, it's so funny. I had something I was gonna say about this drop play, but I totally spaced what I was gonna say. Uh, it's almost reminiscent of Momo, right? It wasn't Momo. I think it was him versus Cross earlier today, where when he was close enough, that's like just the perfect example of a really, really dangerous Protoss being right next to your front door, your side door, your back door, because like you don't have to fly down all the way around the map. You can just keep just queuing them up and sending them, and then you break down those turrets at the very beginning, and it just makes it that much. Like it's so hard to be microing your SCVs, microing your Marines, rebuilding turret rings. Oh look, some pressure up front. He's gonna lose some Marines for free. Excuse me. Sorry, my voice is going out again, so might be you rest of the day, Dizzy. So, but I mean, we'll see if it even gets to that type of drop play that you were describing before, and also Mage. I keep wanting to call him Wizard. It's so funny, but Mage. has shown that he's really good against that type of drop play, probably because he goes up against it a lot. But is he used to fighting just mass dragoons? Because this is looking dire.
This is looking great, right, for Azzy right now. And even if he were to come up, I don't think range is done yet. So he'll eventually be able to kite much more efficiently. And Dragoon naturally has a higher range, even with the range upgrade. So the Dragoons will be getting the better of these engagements until Siege is done. And Siege hasn't even started yet.
Yeah,
So Mage is, you know, desperately needing to repair and stall for as long as possible. I think Azzy pulled out a great play. Rather than going for some sort of drop, he's putting the pressure on with these goons.
yeah, it's kind of the complete opposite is how I was gonna start. It's funny. I thought I distracted myself again because I was thinking like was hoping that this engineering bay might have been a barracks, but it's not. It's I was just gonna say the opposite of the first game that Ozzy had, where he had this good pressure build planned, and then just the scout didn't go his way, things got delayed, and it didn't end up happening. Well, this time he found him way fast. Zealots got in, Dragoons got in, did a lot of damage, even forcing the repair on these few bunkers, even when he would blow them up, whatever. That was draining Mage as well, and he was burning units that whole time. He's supply blocked right now. Like his whole everything is being thrown off and delayed. And yeah, there's no real threat of a drop happening soon, but this is a big ass army out in front of his base, and he does have a lot of bunkers. He does have a siege tank. He's starting to rebuild his supply depot wall, so that's good too. It looks like he's not bustable to me, but if you lead with the zealots, you might be able to get in, jump on top of that siege tank, and then just try to bust the bunkers after that. I only bring this up because that's what it looks like it's going to be to me, but I don't know. I don't know. Like, he's got his Templar archive, could just be for upgrades, but I've got to think that he's going to build some. I think High Templar would be more useful, but it could always be some DT action if he can get in there. There's only one turret, and again,
He
the
does have two High Templars, but I think as soon as he scouts with the Zealot, he'll sort
okay,
of be swayed away, especially with that depot completing the wall.
yeah,
It'd just be too inefficient. I think at this point, as he may opt for, yeah, so he checks to see exactly how it looks. Almost, sort of a waste to throw your units in there unless he's maxed out and banking. I think at this point he may want to opt for either something like an Arbiter Recall or just Doom Drops with mass shuttles.
mm-hmm.
Um, Otherwise, he'll just be waiting and waiting until Terran is maxed out because the responsibility now is on Protoss to force the issue.
Yeah, it's true. This is your time to really slow the Terran down, take out his economy, or make sure that to keep his army small, just like harass him. It's your time to hurt him. And
Hmm.
one thing that's interesting too is he really hasn't, oh my gosh, he's like really expecting a bust. So this is a good call by Mage too. He's not doing what he's doing originally. Don't get me wrong, he still has a lot of Marines by his main just because he never set him on a rally, so he's just macroing really well. But he's realized that his opponent has gone for a Dragoon and Zealot, and I don't think he's seen the Templar yet, but he knows that he's massing. So what does he do in response? He's just got a shitload of bunkers. He's got his siege tanks in the right spot. Because I was going to bring up, it would be cool to see him put one of those siege tanks along the ridge, so as Protoss goes to reinforce, he can just start taking pot shots at those, at just any army that comes out, and then that would also force the issue too, because then they would just auto try to run into, kill the tank and die to all these bunkers and siege tanks and stuff, which just help whittle down
It
Protoss. But
it looks like based on Azzy's response and sort of his lack of development in tech, I think what he's gonna do is, yeah, he's constantly checking to choke. He's gonna just look to bust, storm the bunkers as he busts them, and just flood in units. And I'm not saying it's impossible, as if as he focuses on the micro during that engagement, and I'm sure he's about to go right now. As long as he focuses on it, I see him trading well. I don't see him killing though. And the question is how quickly is he able to sort of remax to be effective again? Because I'd imagine Mage will sort of prioritize, rebuilding everything back up.
dude, this
Uh,
is this
Looks
is
like he's gonna
scary.
try and Yeah, it looks like he's gonna try and bust the supply depots with dragoons first, and then run in with the zealots. That's what I'd imagine. This almost 2.5 control, 3 control groups worth of zealots are for. Otherwise, running in and trying to kill the depots with the zealots would be just
Suicide.
not right. And he scans the choke, sees that there's no robotics facility or no cannons,
Right.
and this has to. Oh, okay. So he is
Yeah,
going for
he's
it with
going
the
for it.
zealots.
I was just gonna say the whole time that, like, man, I'm so scared for both of them because this is
Here's
so
this.
many units.
Here's the storm. He's stimming the bunkers one by one, which is effective.
Yeah, it's true.
This is a ton of units that
Oh
he's just
my
surviving
gosh.
off of. He's bringing all of his units back from the bottom of his base. Oh my goodness.
So,
Let's see. I think this is just too many bunkers.
so with
There's
the,
not enough storms.
I was gonna say with the Templar that he's storming with, he should make Archons out of him instantly. And I was even thinking it might have been worth it to just sacrifice a couple Templar at the beginning to. I think he's gonna bust him, dude. I think he's gonna bust him. I think it would have been smart to have an Archon or two lead the charge so that they could tank a lot
Unfortunately,
of
with
siege
all
tanks.
these bunkers, I don't think he's gonna bust. And even if he does, he's not gonna have enough units left over.
Are you sure?
Although these zealots are streaming
Are
in.
you sure?
This
I
may
think he's
be
done it.
this may be a dangerous.
Oh,
Oh, great storm!
siege.
If he's able to get a zealot on top of him. Oh my goodness! I think he's done
Yeah,
it.
dude,
I think
I
Azzy
think he's
has
done
pulled
it.
the upset again. He's pulled it off. Time. Turn
Dude.
of the original king.
Yeah, man. I was,
What a
dude,
bust!
crazy, crazy. I was
A
so
bust.
nervous for both players because, like, obviously he's just running into the meat grinder, but that was, I don't know, man. I played a lot of Terran. I've seen a lot of Protoss armies look like that, and then as soon as we look over, there's just a shitload of Zealots. So, hell yeah, man. Good game.